Irashaimase! Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday is Star Gods, an interesting vertical scrolling shoot 'em up currently on Kickstarter. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer Job Studios, Star Gods, at the time of this recording, has a couple weeks left in its Kickstarter campaign. So if you find what you see here interesting, I would highly encourage you to first check out the demo of the game and then the Kickstarter campaign. I'll include links to both in the description below. So what do we have here? Well, the options are relatively bare bones at this point. It just gives you the option of changing the volume setting, and that's about it, which is fair with an earlier demo version of a game. There is a tutorial which explains the basic mechanics of the game, and a stage select which allows you to play all three stages that are in the demo. Once we start the game, we're taken to the story. There's actually a decent character narrative going on here in the game itself, but for our purposes today, we'll focus on the gameplay, so we'll go and skip past that. There is also voice acting as well, which isn't half bad. So we do have 3 ships that are available, rather, like shown in the demo. At this point, I have 2 of them unlocked. I have not unlocked the third one, the Titan. So the Atlas Blade is your basic. You can save up the money to go and get the Andrew Streamer, and then the Titan, which I have, as I mentioned, not unlocked. We'll be looking at the Atlas Blade for the purpose of today's video. As we start the game, we're going to start in the Cesteris system, and it gives you a little bit of an idea at the bottom as to the core interesting mechanic of the game, a graze system. So, as a base, we have a standard vertical scrolling shoot 'em up, but the special spice of this game is definitely its graze system. As you graze enemies, or even obstacles like these asteroids, will build up what's called kinetic energy. It's shown there in the top left, right underneath our shields. And that kinetic energy, as we fill up that meter, it will both upgrade our weapons up to level 3, so we start at level 1, then it goes to 3, and as we also build it up, we'll gain supers as well, which in the Atlas Blade we can use to either fire a super laser, like so, or we can use supers to also repair our shields. Some larger enemies will also drop full energy bars, pickups that you can upgrade, or rather that you will get the upgrades with when they're defeated. But it's a pretty neat system. I like being able to find ways to position myself in locations where I can just build up a lot of kinetic energy and use that to both increase my survivability as well as upgrade the weapons, deal heavy damage. There's quite a bit to like about the system itself. So each ship is a little bit different though. So the Atlas Blade has 2 specials that it can go and use. It has the ability to fire a super laser, and it has the ability to repair its shields. The Andrew Streamer, on the other hand, only has 1. So once you've upgraded that one, you have once you've gotten to the point where you have a special, it fires an electric bomb which hits the entire screen for some decent damage. The Andrew Streamer's 2 weapons, unlike the straight laser on the Atlas Blade and the energy ball, which I haven't actually shown off yet, but I will at some point. You've got a homing shot as your main weapon, and as the second weapon on the Andrew Streamer, you have the electric shotgun, which I really like and enjoy using quite a bit. It works really well with the whole graze mechanic as well. Back to the Atlas Blade, we find ourselves at the boss of Stage 1, going and flying a very large version of the Titan. So there's some really interesting things going on in this fight that I quite enjoy. But one thing that I have noted with the fight is the fully upgraded main laser is just as effective, if not more so, than the super laser. So I find it's better, at least with this ship, to utilize your supers to repair your shield. If you're using the Andrew Streamer and there's no shield repair to call upon, then it makes sense just to use the electric bomb when you're facing bosses. And bam. Stage 1 boss down. Hop into Warp Hole, and we're on to the next stages. Upon your mission complete, you do go and gain credits, which you can go and use to then purchase additional ships. Hopefully there'll be other uses for that money as well, as once you've purchased the ships, it seems like they would just go to waste at that point. So here we are on our second stage. Minor complaint, but one thing that does happen between the stages in the demo is our strength has gotten reset, so we have to rebuild our weapon power. Though we have had our lives restored, so it's like you're just starting this stage from scratch rather than continuing any particular continuity. Still, we are flying into an enemy base, and it is cool to go and see what we have there. So, talking a little bit about what we have here in Star Gods. Let's get to our minus and plus flavors. So, really, it's too hard to go and like harp on many failings that the game happens to have, as it's still in a demo stage. But like some minor complaints that I do have are I kind of feel when you get hit, there's not enough impact. Where you just are momentarily invulnerable and you see a red shield around you, but it's sometimes easy to miss that and not realize you're actually taking damage. When you actually finish building your meters, the energy meter all the way, and you gain a super and get the level up, there's more impact in that, I feel, and it seems a little counterintuitive that it's not the same way for when you take damage, or rather, at least similar for when you take damage. Having a greater impact for when you've actually built up your super seems a little counterintuitive in my mind. There's also the matter of scalability. So when I mentioned options, I mentioned the only thing that we could currently change is the volume, and that means that we don't have the ability to change resolution or any of the graphic settings. For a PC title, that's a little bit of an issue, especially for a gamer that goes and plays on a slightly underpowered rig like myself. That could present some problems. So those are some things to go and keep in mind, and something that will hopefully be fixed as the title continues its development cycle. On the plus flavors, though, I think the gray system that's at work here is really fun to go and make use of. Going into a risk-reward where you're having to dive in there, get close to enemies and enemy shots to continue to upgrade yourself and be able to, well, more effectively fight and counter the enemies is something that I really like. And then there's also the boss fights I find to be quite enjoyable. We also do have a little bit of variation in the demo as far as what's going on, like this hyper section, which I'm not doing super great at. Which does add some variability to the gameplay. And there we have it. Star Gods served up for your enjoyment. So as I mentioned, this one's currently on Kickstarter, so if you like what you see here, I'd highly encourage you to look into the game further. I myself feel that it goes and has some decent promise, so I'm looking forward to seeing where this title goes in the future. So I would, as I say, highly encourage you to check out this title if you are interested in what you see here. And as always, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.